Alrighty here, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially starting up this YouTube channel here, which is going to be based around strictly tier lists, maybe some reactions. I have it set as tier list Wyggzz, but we might do some reactions on here. We might get some people on to roast me on some of my tier lists too. Kind of see how things feel on out here on this channel. But again, this is the start of this channel. I'm sorry if the introduction's not that great. I didn't really, you know, I guess rehearse it, I guess, before. But in today's video, we are going to be seeing Marvel movies and TV shows ranked. A little disclaimer here early on: we will not be including like Daredevil or Punisher, any of the Netflix series that don't really, I guess, link up with the MCU per se. I know that with Daredevil being now introduced and Kingpin being in and all that, we could technically include them, but we won't. So for now, we'll just stick with what's been like Loki, WandaVision, you know, um, the Falcon, Winter Soldier, all that stuff, and then we'll go off of all the movies. This will include No Way Home in this as well. So just note that we might do a separate little video here on, I guess, the TV shows prior to the MCU. So we'll maybe do like Daredevil, Punisher, Jessica Jones, all that prior, and we might mix that in with like some X-Men and Fantastic Four possibly. We'll kind of just see how things play on out. We do have a little bit of music here in the background as well for you guys to at least have something to listen to outside of me talking, and it keeps my headset from dying. So, but that's really it. We'll now get on into it, and we're gonna start things off. It's gonna be from 32 to 1. Ignore 33 on the screen. I just had an extra spot and I didn't want it to look empty, but ignore 33. It's going to be 32 to 1. We'll start from 32 and we'll throw it up here on the screen. It's going to be Incredible Hulk. I don't know if I would really consider this one of the movies in the MCU, but technically, according to everyone, it is considered an MCU movie. So started off with that. I've watched it maybe once and I have never seen it again because I didn't care for it. So that's why I have it solo. Um, Moving on, we are going to be getting into the What If series. I tried watching the first episode. I just didn't get into it. It's not for me. It's not for everyone. It's kind of mixed within the community of who likes it and who doesn't. I personally don't get into it. I don't know. I guess, don't care for it all that much. Maybe the more I watch it, I'll maybe get into it a little bit more, but we'll kind of see how that goes in the future. We'll do updated ones as more movies drop and all that stuff too, but not one of my go-tos. I will say that, but What If will go there. Moving forward from that, we will be seeing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I ended up only watching like 2 episodes of this and just really didn't care for it whatsoever. So I can't rank it any higher than this. I've seen almost all of these in here, but some of these I think the only one I haven't seen is the Eternals. But these ones I just don't care for right now. Again, that could change in the future, but it's just not all that interesting to me. And I get kind of lost in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. What If I don't know. I didn't care for all that much, but it is what it is. Moving on, we are going to be getting into number 29, which will be Thor: The Dark World. Not a horrible movie. I would watch it still, but I mean it's pretty bad. It's not a great movie now that I'm thinking about it, but I would still watch it. It's still part of the MCU. I watch all of these movies, so don't think I'm hating on any movies. It's just this is where I would rank it. I watch almost all the TV shows I've watched as well, outside of most of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and the What If series. Like I haven't seen any of them, so or not any of them, most of them I should be saying. Um, but yeah, Thor: The Dark World, not a great MCU movie. It's a little bit rough, and I feel like that's kind of like all the second movies. In all honesty, all of them are not as great as the other ones within their like core three movies, but or in their trilogy, I should be saying. But moving on from that, we are going to throw Eternals here at 28. Eternals again is one I have yet to see. From what I've read review wise, too many characters in a small time frame, and you don't really get to I guess get to know the characters all that well. So it's a little hit and miss from people. I don't think I can rank it any higher than this. I probably could be down lower. Again, I haven't seen it, so I'm kind of just going off of what people have said. It's the only one here within this list I have yet to see. So we'll kind of see how it is when I do get to watch it. It again could change in the future. We will update these at probably, I don't know, a year from now or something like that, as long as everything's going well on the channel. But Eternals is definitely one I probably won't rank higher than 28 just because I haven't seen it, and that's really the only reason why. To move on from that, we are going to be seeing WandaVision, and this might cause some controversy here from those viewing, but I personally did not really get into WandaVision all that much. I watched all of them. There was a few good episodes, but the majority of them I didn't really care for. I think it's a cool concept by, you know, showing off her true power, I guess, and we're getting to see a little bit more of that, and we'll see a lot more of that heading into Doctor Strange, which is, I think, the biggest key point to take away from it is this does link up to that second Doctor Strange movie, and I just think it was an interesting series. It was just like not my cup of tea. Like I could care less for it in all honesty, but I don't know. And nothing against the TV shows that they're coming out with. They're doing good with what they're doing, trying to tell a story and giving us something to watch as, you know, we don't have movies dropping, and it was nice to have during the pandemic a little bit, but I don't know. These three early on at least are not my go-tos, but nothing against them. I would watch WandaVision again. 100% would do that, but I just rank it here at 27. To move on, we are going to be seeing Captain Marvel here at the 26th spot. Movie I had higher expectations for when first seeing it. I thought it was just kind of bland at times within its story and kind of long. There was a lot of like a backstory, I guess, in everything, and it was, I don't know. At times it was boring, at times it was interesting. It was hit and miss. I want to like it more, but I just really can't. I'll watch it. I will, just not as frequently as all the other ones up in front of it. But again, it's just a little hit and miss with me. To move on from that, we are going to be seeing Black Widow, and yes, this might be a little controversial as well, but I personally liked watching Black Widow more than Captain Marvel. I think part of it's just due to the fact that she's been in a lot more movies, and overall, I think is a more interesting character because it's not like she has any superpowers. She's just a really good assassin, and I mean, it's kind of cool seeing her backstory. I wish we would have gotten this sooner, like, you know, before like the Iron Man 2 when she was first introduced, because it would have been nice to see her, and then we could have like kind of got a general idea of what she was going to be like within that movie, but I think it was just a little too late, and I mean, by the time, and again, I'm not dissing it, but like she's dead. Like it's out of timeline. Like it comes out after she's already like gone from the MCU. So it just didn't line up on my vision, and it was just a little weird. But I think it's a decent movie. A lot of people did not really care for it. I personally liked it for the most part. I mean, there's parts where it's kind of boring and not great, but overall, it introduces some good characters. We see her sister in the Hawkeye series as well, and who knows, we might be seeing a few more of those Black Widows from that movie pop up in other TV shows, or maybe her father somewhere, or something like that. You never really know, but it's nice to see her backstory and kind of get the gist of who she is. To move forward from that, we are going to be seeing Iron Man 2. Not a great villain, I would say, in the movie. I think that's the only downside to it. I do like the aspect of seeing all the different suits he does come up with and develops throughout that movie. We do see a new Brody as well, which I think is a very great change. I know with the one in the first one not really caring or wanting more than Robert Downey Jr. in that movie kind of led to him being cut from the cast, but overall, I do like the change, and then we see this Brody in, you know, a big chunk of the other movies, and overall, I think that was nice. But again, villains in this just not great, and I don't know, just not my go-to Iron Man movie. I'd prefer to watch the other two, but that kind of falls into the factor of the second one's just not being that great. I think all of them to me are like that, and I think the next one, yes, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I could probably put this below Iron Man 2. I don't know, but for me, all the second movies are just not that great, outside of one exception, which we'll get into later on, but or actually two of them possibly. But um, I don't know. I just this is the one movie I think it took me forever to actually really watch fully through. Did not see this in theaters. I tried watching it at a later date. I got I was kind of like bored. Like I like the fact of, you know, Bucky Barnes and Black Widow being in it, but I never really, I guess, cared for it all that much. I'm going through all the movies right now of rewatching them, so maybe after I'm done watching them all again, maybe I'll have a greater appreciation for it, because some of the movies above it I've started to watch recently, and I don't know, I kind of like them more, so it's kind of just hit and miss. Captain America not my like go-to superhero either, so it's a little offsetting, I guess, for me, because he's not like my favorite of the group. Like, it's a great concept. I liked his first movie a lot better, and the third one as well. But the third one, we all know how that goes. But yeah, just not really my go-to superhero of the bunch. To move forward from this one, we are going to get into that second row, and that's going to be Avengers Age of Ultron. Again, another Avengers movie, a second. You know, we got three in a row right there. This could arguably be pushed down below, I would even say, Captain Marvel, in all honesty. I didn't really get into it all that much. I think the one plus side of it was Vision that really, like, made the movie better. And then we get introduced to Scarlet Witch and, you know, the brief little, I would say, cameo from Quicksilver, because he's really not in any other movie outside of the WandaVision, you know, cameo that, you know, a variant of him makes. But overall, like, it does a good thing by introducing some characters, and I think that's what pushes it above these other ones for me, because you get introduced to, you know, some of the villains. I forget his name, but he's in Black Panther, but that guy who eventually does end up dying in that. But um, you get introduced to a decent amount of good characters, and it's not horrible, but it's also not great at the same time. So it's the Avengers I will watch at least. I will say that. To move forward from that though, and honestly, I'm thinking about it. I could maybe move Black Widow. I don't know. There's things I could still move around now that I'm thinking about it, but we'll be seeing Ant-Man coming in at this 21st spot. Overall, actually, from this point on, I really like all these movies. It was really hard for me to sort them all out outside of like the top five, I would say, but from like 21 to like 6, or maybe even 21 to like 10, it was a little bit harder for me. Like top 10 I'm pretty solid on, that I like personally. Again, this is my list, not yours, so like don't be too harsh on shit. But Ant-Man overall, not a bad movie. It was a little interesting the first time watching it, because I never really heard of the character or anything like that. I didn't read comics or anything like that. I watch videos on them, so like I kind of pick things up as I go, and I'm not the smartest at it still, but I love hearing all the theories and how it relates to the comics and everything. But Ant-Man overall, pretty solid movie. I like the aspect of it, how he can shrink down, obviously, and then grow big at times when he needs to. But um, I'm trying to think what else. I mean, fighting the villain in that too was kind of unique, because you see them on the, you know, train set there with and fighting the Yellow Jacket or whatever it is, and you just get introduced to a lot more, and then you kind of get a backstory of Hank Pym and kind of how, in a sense, they talk a little bit about it, how he worked with Stark, and it kind of like lines things up a little bit better with some of the stories, and it connects and it works. Moving on from that, though, we are going to be seeing the first Thor, and you could make an argument that maybe, to some people, not to everyone, most people probably would have Thor a little bit higher, but you could maybe make an argument that Ant-Man was better than the first Thor. But um, I like Thor a little bit better than Ant-Man as a superhero, so like I put him here at this 20 spot. I think this first movie was pretty good. It was a bit slow for my liking once you get past, you know, him losing Mjolnir and being stuck on Earth or whatever. It was kind of slow from that point on, but the start was nice, the ending was nice, the middle was just kind of meh. Like, you kind of, you know, get the story of him becoming worthy again and whatnot. But um, overall, that's all I really gotta say. You get to see, you know, his brother there in Loki, who's introduced, and later we see him there in that first Avengers. And I mean, it does a great job of introducing Odin and all of them. It's good overall. It's just I couldn't rank it any higher, because I would prefer to watch all these other movies ahead of it. Move on to 19. We are going to be seeing Iron Man 3. This one was a little harder for me to place, because I honestly wanted to place it lower, and then I wanted to place it higher at times, and I'm like, okay, I got to meet in the middle somewhere, and this is kind of where I put it. Iron Man, from at least the original Avengers before we got introduced to like Black Panther and Doctor Strange, was my favorite of the bunch. I liked him, and I personally like Hawkeye and Thor after that. But that may sound a little bit weird with Hawkeye, because he doesn't have, you know, any powers or anything. But um, overall, this third one was not a bad movie. I actually liked it. The first few times I watched it, I didn't really care for it, but I started to grow. Like, it grew on me after a while, and I started to like it more and more. We kind of get to see, you know, that little misdirection of the Mandarin or whatever, who we later see in Shang Chi, or Shang Chi, I should be saying. But um, I don't know. There's not a whole lot. You get to see a lot of new suits and all that. You get to see more of Brody in it. You get to see Pepper with whatever happens with her. I forget what it's called, because I haven't seen it in a while. But you get to see a lot of newer things that are interesting to view, and you kind of get to see a little nice funny story of him and that like child when he's like repairing his Iron Man suit and everything after he gets out of that little spiel with the Mandarin. But overall, not a bad movie. Again, probably my favorite of that original bunch, so I'm obviously gonna put him ahead of Thor. But Thor later on, I like more than Iron Man just because once the third Thor movie dropped, that's when things got really good in my opinion with Thor. But um, to move on to number 18, we're going to be seeing Captain America, the First Avenger. And again, I'm not a huge Captain America fan, but I thought they did a really great job with the first movie, which some people may not agree with that. I thought Red Skull to a certain extent wasn't great, but I think the build up to a story about how Stark's father helped with his like surgery to get him all like to that superhuman form, and then his views on like the Tesseract and the Shield and all that. It was just all nice to see, and it like helped link up, I guess, the Avengers a little bit there because we do see Iron Man first with the first two movies, and then Captain America, and it kind of just lines up because it's his father, and then he's kind of got a general census of who Captain America is and all that. But overall, not bad. We get to see Bucky in this film as well, who we later see in the second one as a super soldier himself. So not bad. I did think this was better than the first Thor. I think in the middle when they have him doing his little shows his Captain America was stupid, but once they start getting him into the real action and all that, everything started to turn around, and it was actually a pretty decent movie. To move forward, we are going to be seeing Ant-Man and the Wasp. I would love to rank this higher. I just think all the movies ahead of it are better. I thoroughly enjoy the Ant-Man movies, and this was the same. I really liked it. We get to see the Wasp. We get to see, Ghost in it as well, who I would love to see in more movies. I think that's a very well played character. Um, we get to see the mother as well come on into things, and it's just a lot of cool things. And then we get to see like how the quantum realm like really works a little bit within that movie, which will be nice coming into the third one. I believe in is that 2022 or 2023? I don't remember, but um, it could be later this year, it could be 2023. I don't know, but that'll really lead well into that. And I think Loki, which we'll see later on in this list, does a great job of building on that as well because we get to see Kang, and then they're supposed to be fighting Kang in that. I don't know. It's like a whole side of the MCU that we're not used to seeing, but overall is fun to see, and I liked it. I liked the humor from a lot of the characters as well. I thought it was pretty funny, and that's kind of what we've seen a lot through like Phase 3 and 4 with these movies moving forward. They're getting kind of funnier and not super like serious like they were at the start. But speaking of Loki, we'll see him and his TV show come in here at 16th. I personally would like to rank this a lot higher because I really did like the show, but the reason I put it here is because there's not just like a whole lot to go off of. We get to see Kang or whatever. We get to see like a little, like how time branches off and all that, like how they're explaining it in Endgame and all that. But I just think if we had a few more episodes and like some more to go off of, like it definitely would shoot up there. Like I will watch this anytime. It's my go-to. This and like Hawkeye are my go-to like shows from the Disney Plus series that they do so far. The other ones again I didn't care for, but I definitely would watch this again. I've actually watched this 3 times over since it dropped, so that's how much I like it. And you can get through it in a day, so it's like super nice. Overall, like great. You get to see like I guess a more like hero-ish type of Loki in it too. Like I think he realizes that the path he was taking normally was not going to get him anywhere, and when they show him that, I think he realizes that, and then that changes him a little bit because he's kind of been back and forth from being good and bad, and because he's the god of mischief, so like he's got to be mischievous. But now knowing that he eventually ends up dying to Thanos and all of that, it's kind of gets in his head a little bit, and you see a much better side of him, and I personally like that a lot. But moving forward, we are going to be seeing the first Iron Man, a pretty good build up to the character himself. You see like where like all started with him getting the metal in his chest and all that, and how they like build around it, and then the arc reactor and all that. The villains in his movies are not great, I will say that, but a great story overall. You get to see his right hand man basically like just betray him and sell behind his back and all that. And overall, not a bad movie. I just saw this actually the other night, so that's super nice to refresh on because I don't know where I would have ranked it otherwise. But to move forward, we are going to be seeing Hawkeye again, another series I would love to move further up. This would be my favorite of the bunch, obviously, as it's ranking this high. Thought overall it was great to see kind of like a solo film, I guess, of Hawkeye after like Black Widow got her own movie, but we see it in TV show form. We get to see some trick arrows. We get to see Kate Bishop, who I think is a great character in the series as well. And then towards the end, we get to see the return of Kingpin, which kind of um, was known was going to happen, obviously, from his little cameo at the end of the episode before the last, and then we get to see Daredevil within that Spider-Man Far From Home, or no, not Far From, No Way Home movie. So things are lining up there from those series, which I personally like. It brings that big bad back into things. You get introduced to a few more characters who I think we're supposed to be seeing in. I think one of them is supposed to appear in the Blade movie coming out later this year, and then I think the other is supposed to be in Moon Knight or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but it like overlaps into a bunch of other things, which is actually super nice, and I'm actually super excited to see what happens with it. I hope they do more seasons. I have heard a lot of them aren't getting more seasons. I would love to see more seasons in all of it. I think Loki's the only one confirmed to have a second season so far, and I'm guessing they're gonna build on What If, obviously, because I've heard it's successful. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I would love to see them add more things. WandaVision, I heard it's just one season, which sucks, but who knows? They could always bring things back. To move forward, we are going to be seeing Spider-Man Far From Home. Um, this was hard. I liked all three of the films. I think they're all close in my heart. Outside of the recent one that just dropped, I actually like that a lot more. It took me a while, a few days after, to think about it, like how much I really liked it. We'll get into that later, but this one is not bad. I would love to put all three in the top 10, but there's other movies ahead of it that I just personally like a lot more, and I mean, this overall is not a bad film. I like watching it. I will watch it consistently. I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. You get to see Mysterio in this. You get to see MJ finally, know about Tom's like little secret. Even though we don't see a whole lot of her in the first one, but she's a bigger character, and it's just fun to watch overall. And then you get to see, the after effects of Endgame and how that's affecting Tom and his Spider-Man, and it's just, it's a great movie and a great start to the like after Endgame. It's like it kind of connects the dots and all that, and it's overall just a nice film. To move forward, I am going to put the original Avengers here at the 12th spot. I know a lot of people put this a lot higher. I think for its time, it definitely was the best movie when it dropped in 2012. Obviously, you get to see all those main characters combining in it. You get the brief cameo from Scarlet and the Iron Man, and then Hawkeye and Thor, and then you get to see all of them in a collective group teaming together. I think the only one we didn't see in movies prior was Hulk, obviously, but he was introduced at the start, and it just all fit. Going back on it now, it's not like my go-to movie to watch. I'm not trying to diss it or anything. It's great for nostalgia, but I can't rank it any higher than this. I think other movies are better, and I would watch these movies ahead of it. I could make an argument for No Way Home, or Far From Home, I should be saying, ahead of this, but I, for nostalgia reasons, put this right here at the 12th spot. Overall, I think it's a long film too, because you're building it up for the first big team up, and I don't know. I think that might be part of it too. It's just how long it is, and I've seen it so many times too. I think I just kind of don't care for it as much, I guess. But to move on from that, I am going to have Shang Chi here at the 11th spot. I actually was debating on putting this at the 9th spot and 10th spot or whatever, and I'm like, it's still fresh. I'll keep it here at this for now. It could move up. I really love this movie. I'm going to be honest with you. I had no expectations of it being good going into it. I actually didn't even go to watch it in the theaters. I watched it later on Disney Plus when it first dropped, and overall, not a bad movie. I actually really liked it. The bus scene was great. You get to see Wong and part of it as well when Shang-Chi eventually ends up fighting his sister there, and I thought it was really interesting. You get to see a Asian version of a movie, I guess, to say it nicely, and it's a lot. There's a lot of intriguing things about it because you get to see him and his dad. We actually get to see the real Mandarin in it as well. get the brief cameo from the fake Mandarin in that Iron Man as well, who I thought played great, played a good character in it as well, which was super nice. And the mythical creatures in it too were stunning. They were nice. You get to see the phoenix and some of the other animals, and it was just kind of nice to see something more mythical in it, I guess. And then later on, you get a dragon, and then the little dark abyss type creature. I don't even know what it's called, but overall, it was super nice. You get to see a little bit of how the rings work, which I'm hoping we see a lot more of that in the second one when that does drop. But we should be seeing that in the next Avengers as well, because I believe he's supposed to be teaming up in that as well. So we'll kind of see how things go. But overall, I really do like the character. I think he'll be good moving forward. And yeah, I mean, he's part of the future of the MCU, so he's got to be good. To move forward, I am going to put Black Panther here at the 10 spot. You could make an argument for this being anywhere in the top 10. I would agree with you. It could be Pell. It could be at that one spot, in all honesty. It is a great movie. An all-black cast as well, which was very cool to see for the first time we saw that in an MCU movie. And overall, I thought it was a really great movie. I'm trying to think of what... There's nothing bad I could say about it. I just honestly thought it was really good overall. I really enjoyed the character itself. Chadwick Boseman did a great job. Rest in peace, obviously. We won't be seeing him in there in the second one due to his passing, but he did a great job there as playing Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan playing the villain in that too was super nice. He was great in that, and then kind of getting the background of all of Wakanda was super nice to see, and later led into Infinity War when he was heavily involved in that battle of Wakanda. To move forward, we are going to be seeing Doctor Strange at the 9th spot. I would love to put, these last three I would love to put higher up, but they're just movies I would watch ahead of them. But overall, Doctor Strange I thought was a really great movie. Kind of started off a little bit, I guess, slow with how he was trying to get to Kamar-Taj and all that, but get to see the ego side of him being a doctor, and then how he, in a sense, isn't as egotistical there towards the middle of the movie, but then it kind of comes back later on when he starts to learn things and picks things up. But I think it fits his character really well, and overall, it's just a lot of fun to watch, and I thoroughly do enjoy it. So I would put that here at the 9th spot. But to move forward, we are going to be seeing Guardians of the Galaxy, one of the best movies, obviously, in the MCU. I really, really love this. We get to see how they form together and become the Guardians of the Galaxy. They all get a little brief backstory of them, and I love team up movies. With them doing that in Guardians, it just really fits, and everyone gets their time to shine. I don't feel like it's cluttered like I've heard Eternals is, and it's not cluttered like all the Avengers movies aren't, and I mean, even the Spider-Man movies, there's always someone making a cameo in those, but I think overall it's a great movie. Love Groot. We only get to see him in his normal form in this so far. Hopefully the next one we should be seeing him back to his normal form, because he was a teenager there throughout the the Infinity War, Avengers movies, and Endgame and such. So hopefully we'll be seeing him back into that full out Groot mode, but we'll kind of see how things go. I loved Baby Groot in the second one, and then Teenage Groot was just funny. But to move forward, we are going to be seeing the first Spider-Man Homecoming, which is taking place right after Civil War, and I believe, what was that, 2016 already? Like 6 years? That's crazy to think about, but it might have been 2017. I don't remember, but overall, a great movie. Was fun to watch. You get to see Robert Downey Jr. in it, Michael Keaton's Vulture, and overall, just a lot of fun. I love seeing Ned finding out his identity and then how they go about the rest of the movie. I think it's just great overall. The second best in the series for me, obviously, with the third one coming in there about 7 spots lower. Again, could make an argument for those, but this is where I would have Spider-Man Homecoming. To move forward, we are going to be seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Yes, I have both of them in the top 10. I love these movies, I'll be honest with you, which a lot of people probably won't agree with. I thoroughly love them. The second one I thought was great, with Yondu becoming a huge role within the Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Baby Groot was hilarious. The story itself I thought was really good. I mean, you get some weird freaking names and Taserface and other things. It was just overall a great movie in my opinion. We get to get introduced to some new groups of people in it as well who will come in later on. I believe in the third one, um, releasing a villain upon them, and then we get to see Ego, one of the first Celestials we've really seen within the MCU. Like we've seen glimpses of the other ones, but we actually get to see one within this, and I think it's overall a great movie, and I will keep it here at the sixth spot. I honestly could make an argument for this fifth spot maybe, but that's just me. I'm just kidding. This fifth spot definitely does belong to Captain America: Civil War. First time we get to see really our superheroes fight against each other outside of the brief skirmishes there in Avengers, but we get to see them fighting against each other here within this movie and sides being picked. We get introduced to Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. Scott Lang's introduced to the group of the Avengers. We get to see Spider-Man for the first time in one of the films in this movie as well, which is super interesting. And then we just get to see them battle it on out. We see the backstory of Bucky a little bit, and then how Stark's parents die and all of that, and things just line up. One of the bads in that too at the end is, I think, thrown in jail or just left there. Black Panther does not kill him; he just leaves him. He later reappears in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, so it's kind of interesting how they're using some of these characters. But overall, great movie. We get to see 2.5 hours of great action, and it's just super nice. Definitely top 5 worthy. To move on, we are going to be seeing at my number 4 spot here, Spider-Man: No Way Home. This is still fairly new, but I do really like what they did with the movie. Again, I said this a little bit earlier. It took me a little bit of time to warm up to it, like a few days after. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, like the way it ended, and I'm like, okay, this, I mean, could line up with, I guess, future movies or trying to get people to remember. It's just there's a lot going on in it where it's like, I don't know. It's hard for me to like really love it at first, but then I'm thinking about it like this could set up a lot of good things. But the first half of the movie, I will say, was super slow because it was introducing all those characters. I do think this movie needed to be at least another hour long, if not split up into 2 parts. Just a lot going on. I think they could have done a lot more with it still. You could have seen a lot more fight scenes with all 3 of the Spider-Men. We get to see Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire back, who I've heard are supposed to be in the future movies as well, as Marvel is trying to sign them to those projects because it would fit in with this whole phase, which is the multiverse of madness. That's literally all it is. The multiverse just going all over the place, and we'll see it in the new Ant-Man. We'll see it in Doctor Strange, which is supposed to open up like a whole ton of things, which you'll see from like X-Men to, I heard, Ghost Rider, and there's a bunch of things going on that I think could be super super cool within that. And I think the Spider-Man also does a great job of opening that all up. We get to see it for the first time with Doctor Strange screwing things up. It lines up with Loki, and it's like a bunch of different people doing things that are messing with the timeline at this point. And we'll see it within, I'm guessing, Ant-Man and the Wasp, where maybe they're trying to fix it. I don't know, but this movie does a great job of opening that all up. Again, first half super slow. Second half was a lot better. The fight scenes with all 3 of the Spider-Man was a lot of fun to watch. And then seeing how Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker stops Tom Holland's Peter Parker from killing the Green Goblin there at the end. And there's just a lot of good things about it. We get to see Andrew Garfield redeem himself by saving MJ there from the dive to not allowing her to, die there like Gwen did in his Amazing Spider-Man 2. And yeah, a lot of good things came out of it. I'm hearing that they're trying to make Andrew Garfield Sony's very own Spider-Man, so that means Tom Holland would be Marvel's and Garfield would be Sony's, and then he could later go on to fight Venom, who we saw a brief cameo from in the end credit scene, who also left a part of him behind. So we will be seeing a Venom at some point in these next 3 Spider-Man movies. Again, Tom Holland is signed to another 3. Something to note, but this movie overall did a great job of doing things. It opens up a lot of things too, and it's going to be chaotic over the next 2 or 3 years of these movies. I can't wait for them. I don't want to wait for them, but I have to, sadly. But to move away from that, I could talk about that all day. We'll move on to the third one, which I will say is Thor Ragnarok. I think overall a great movie. Obviously a top 3, and I think almost everyone's list. Get to see a humorous side of Thor, who I think does a great job there. You get to see a lot more Hulk in the movie as well. You get to see his sister in Hela, who completely shatters his hammer and basically helps him unlock his full potential. To see Loki being more of a good guy within that movie as well. He doesn't really betray Thor all that much. It's like once or twice, but very great movie overall. Doctor Strange makes a brief cameo talking about Loki in New York and all of that. And overall, again, a great movie. We're introduced to Valkyrie as well, so a lot of good things came out of it. The small and funny part was how, Hela threw aside the one gauntlet and said fake or whatever, and it was just all interesting. Great movie overall. Get into our final two here. We are going to be seeing Endgame here at the second spot. I think for me, the reason it's in second is just due to the fact that there's not a whole lot of action within the first half of the movie, which makes sense because they're trying to, figure out what they need to do to get people back, and they figure things out. And I just think it was a bit slow. Coming from the first one where it was a bit up paced the entire time because they're constantly doing something, it was just very slow and I guess not entertaining in that first half, but the second half makes up for it when they start returning things. You get to see the Ancient One come back for a brief little cameo in that. We get to see the Infinity Stones and all that in different points in time. They go back into other movies, fix things, all that fun stuff. A lot going on. It was a great movie. It was great overall, and I did like it towards the end. The first half I could care less for, but it makes sense of why they needed that to happen, and it set the mood for the movie itself. To move on, I think the best movie here so far, again, is going to be Infinity War. Upbeat movie, get to see all the characters in action, some really nice team ups with Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, Iron Man, all of that, and then you get to see like the Hulk come back and work with Wong a little bit, and Doctor Strange, and then see Captain America, Black Widow, all of them come back, and it's just really good overall. We get to see a great select moments within that movie. Wakanda, defending all of that, Scarlet, like everything about it's good. There's so much going on. Great 2.5 hours. They did a great job with that. I'm guessing with Eternals, that's something they needed, was something like that, but they just didn't get it. I don't know. Avengers Infinity War is great. I personally could maybe move Thor Ragnarok to second if I'm looking back on it now. I just had everything set up ahead of time, but yeah, this is going to be my list. Just looking at it, I would keep everything here at these spots again. Maybe a few minor changes. Maybe Ragnarok at 2, Endgame 3. Maybe a few other things, but really, overall, I don't think I would change all that much. I would love to know what you guys think of the list here on the screen for you. You can drop it in the comments. Just be nice about your comments. Like, this is my list. Your list will most likely be different. This is what I like the most. Again, that like 12 through like 21 spot, I could really mix up a little bit more, I think, but it's just a little hard for me to tell, I guess. Aside from that, I think that bottom list is pretty good. I think Eternals could move up depending on how that is. So my thoughts on it. Again, I have to watch that still. Maybe What If and the Falcon and the Winter Soldier could grow on me in the future. I don't know. But overall, I think this is a pretty solid list. But again, let me know in the comments if you would change anything. Let me know your list maybe as well. You could drop that for me to see. And then, yeah, we're going to be doing videos not just relating to Marvel. This is just what I wanted to do first. We're going to, for the most part, base it off of movies here to start, and then we'll kind of get into other things here like foods and other tier list types. But expect 2 to 3 of these a week, and then we'll probably do, I'm hoping to get 3 done a week, and then a reaction of like one of my buddies roasting me on one, and then like kind of giving me their thoughts on what should change and whatnot. But aside from that, I don't think I'll do much more. Maybe we'll have some reactions here just to like some gaming clips, possibly. We'll kind of see how things shape on out here on this channel. But if you guys want to catch up on any content on other channels, you can follow me, Wyggzz, or subscribe, I should be saying, to Wyggzz. That'll be a mix of a variety of games, mostly like story-based games on there. We'll have a more Wyggzz channel at some point going too, which will be based on other games. I have a ton of games, so like I'm gonna make that more of like a story-based, like animated type ish thing. Like I have like Deep Rock, Scrap Mechanic, Sea of Thieves, things along those lines. If you look at them, you'll kind of get the gist of where I'm going at with it. I have a bunch of those games I want to do as well, so if you want to check that out, make sure to go do that. Um, we're supposed to have a Lego Wyggzz channel, which may or may not happen, and I'm not too sure, but that's going to be all Lego based. And then we'll have, or we already do have, I had to take a quick little break from it to run my league, which I'm not doing anymore right now. So check out Trainer Wyggzz on YouTube. Definitely worth it. Um, that's going to be Pokemon Planet, the new Pokemon, or the remakes that just dropped, the new one when it drops, and it's just going to be all that fun stuff, all Pokemon related. So we do have quite a few different channels, but I have a ton of different games, and as long as I can stay consistent on all of them, we should be fine. We'll see how that goes. Aside from that, that's really it. I appreciate you guys for stopping on by. Make sure to leave a like if you could do that. Subscribe to the channel as well for more tier lists. Again, feel free to drop your comments below, and yeah, that's really it. I appreciate you guys for watching, and hopefully see you guys in future videos.